Off-grid living is so romanticized online these days. Can it really be all it's cracked up to be? Hi, I'm Erica. My husband Mark and I moved with our 2 small kids to this fully off-grid cabin and shop in the middle of the woods in Canada almost 1 year ago. This home and property has given us so much. It is so unique and so beautiful. But that doesn't mean it's been all sunshine and roses and that we haven't sacrificed some great things to be here. Today I'm going to share some things we gave up when we moved to this off-grid property. First is a dryer. I have a washing machine, as you can see, and I'm so blessed to have that. I recognize that a lot of off-grid families don't have that luxury. But I did give up having a dryer, which was a bit of an adjustment. As you can see, in the summertime, I hang everything up on my drying line outside, and if it's sunny, if it's hot, if it's windy, it all dries fairly quickly. It was an adjustment because the clothes were outside and exposed to things beyond my control. I don't want birds to poop on my stuff. I don't want it to be blown away if we have a crazy wind, so I did have to be proactive to get it off pretty quickly after it was dried. In the winter and occasionally in the summer, I hang up all of our laundry up in this little loft. The heat from the wood stoves rises up there and it's very, very warm. So again, the clothes dry quickly, which is fantastic. Mark's number one complaint about not having a dryer is that the towels are hard and crunchy. It's basically impossible to have a light, fluffy towel that's air dried. So that is something else that we've just got to be okay with. And hey, our skin is much more exfoliated than it was before. All in all, the adjustment to not owning a machine dryer has been quite easy. It just takes me a little bit longer to do laundry. I have to stay more on top of it because I have minimal drying space. I can't do like 3 or 4 loads at a time because I wouldn't have space to dry it. And you can see sheets are a little bit tricky. But other than that, it's been quite smooth and I've been happy with my life without a dryer. Next, we gave up convenient home heating. Our home is heated primarily by wood. We have 2 wood stoves, and we do have a propane furnace that I'll talk about in a minute. And I have to say that we love our wood stoves, but they are much less convenient than what we were used to before, which was a forced air furnace. To heat with a wood stove, you have to have firewood. And where we live in Canada, it can get down to minus 40 degrees Celsius or minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Very, very cold in the winter. So we need an abundance of firewood to make sure that we can get through the winter, especially if it's a really cold, harsh winter. And this being our first winter, we didn't know exactly, or really at all, how much firewood we would need. So Mark worked for days and days to cut down trees that we were planning on cutting down anyway, and a lot that were dying or dead, and built up our firewood supply.
Yeah, here we go. Oh my gosh. Ah!
At first, we did everything the hard way. Well, not everything. Mark used a chainsaw to fell and buck the logs, but he split them by hand, and then we moved them with a wheelbarrow to our pile. And then my father-in-law and mother-in-law lent us their log splitter, which made the splitting go so much faster and easier. And they also lent us their trailer here, so we were able to move the wood a lot easier and quicker. We also had to prepare kindling, and again, we had no idea how much, so we made this little area under this shed that was already here, and Mark filled it as much as he could, and it's been plenty. We estimated we had about 10 cords of firewood, and we have not gone through it as fast as we thought. We've probably used maybe 60% of it, but it's been a pretty mild winter. The work doesn't stop there. Now that we had all our firewood collected, the daily, multiple times daily task of collecting firewood and starting fires and keeping fires going, it's a constant thing. And just like with the laundry, it did take some adjusting, but pretty quickly it just became a part of how we live here, and we don't even give it a second thought. The only times that it's felt like somewhat of a burden has been when I've been ill and Mark hasn't been here, so I still have to get the firewood and keep the fire going. But other than that, we love our wood stoves. This is our radiant heat propane furnace, and it heats 1/3 of the house that doesn't have a wood stove in it. This is especially great because we can leave for a few days and know that the pipes won't freeze because the furnace will keep running even if we don't have fires going. It's not very efficient because the heat literally just radiates up through the floor, but we still appreciate it. And if you want to learn more, we did a whole video about how we heat our off-grid cabin. I'll link that here. The next thing we, or mostly I, gave up is bathing. I do not have a bath, and that is something I always said I would never go without, but when we found this cabin, I knew I had to give it up because it was just too much of a golden opportunity. When we moved in, the shower was in really rough shape, and so pretty quickly we replaced that. And I have come to terms with the fact that I don't have baths, and I've been surprisingly okay with that. It's amazing how something that feels so important in one phase of your life can really fall down your priority list when other things move up it. And becoming off-grid was such a dream for us, and by buying this property, we felt we could do it so much faster than if we tried to go off-grid on our own in the future. Now, the next thing on the list of things we gave up really is trumped by what replaced it, which is all the fun that we have out on our property. And the thing we gave up was convenient access to the city amenities. Rec centers, pools, zoos, museums, all those fun things that we still enjoy once in a while when we go to the city, but we don't do them nearly as often now. But now we have so many new and unique adventures and fun activities that we can do on our property. You saw us canoeing. We can do that literally from our property. We have wild strawberries and blueberries and Saskatoons to pick throughout the summer. The pool is not the same at our house as in the city, but we might argue it's actually better. We're out in the sun and in our own space on our beautiful deck, enjoying the beautiful view. And there's just nothing better than having all this space, all this forest, all this nature with so much to explore and really so much to enjoy as a family. And the learning opportunities for our kids, but also us, just exploring and playing freely, being with our animals, seeing the wild animals. It's all so good for the soul, and you can just feel that. We also are lucky enough to have access to this literal sand pit in the middle of the forest. It is like being on the beach. And so we take our sand toys down there, and the kids just have a great time. Mark and I too, we build things, and it's a blast. When we lived in the city, we really enjoyed family walks, and living now in the middle of the forest, family walks are 10 times better. You may be noticing, just as I am, as I'm talking, that this is turning into a things we gave up to go off grid, but why we don't care about those things and why it's been so much better. I just can't put a negative light on how we live now. It's so much more enjoyable and fulfilling, even though it is slightly less convenient in a couple of minor ways. Oh. What's something easy you could try? The next thing we gave up is convenient shopping. Obviously, being so rural, we have to drive a lot more and further to get our groceries and other items. But honestly, the part that's been hardest for me is trying to order something online and getting to the checkout and finding out that this company does not ship to P.O. boxes. We've since discovered workarounds for this. That's probably been the most annoying thing to me since moving here. We also gave up having a garage, which we did have in our home in the city. And again, I'm going to be honest, it wasn't that much of an adjustment because we had work supplies in that garage and bikes and other things. We didn't even park in it. So we were used to our cars being outside. However, we would prefer to have our cars covered, so this just means that we have to plan a solution for that and make that happen along with all of our other homesteading projects and goals. One of the biggest changes has been being a lot farther away from family. In the city, we were about half an hour from certain family members, so we didn't see them too often. You know, we've all got our lives and doing our own things, so we probably got together about once a month, and I'd say that's about the same now with those family members. But the house that we owned in the city, it was actually a duplex that we owned with Mark's brother and his wife, who have 4 kids. So we were getting together all the time, even if it was just, you know, it's a beautiful summer day and we all just end up hanging out in the backyard together because we want to be outside. So I really do miss that aspect of how we lived in the city before coming here. But again, all of the positives of our living situation now overwhelmingly outweigh the things we gave up, the things that are not as convenient. Okay, this last one may seem super weird if you're not a crunchy granola mom like I am, but I really enjoyed using cloth diapers with my 2 babies. And when we moved here, it just did not make sense to continue with them simply because I don't have a dryer. The cloth diaper inserts have so many layers of fabric that to air dry them would probably take 2 or 3 days. And I had enough cloth diapers that I would have to wash them every 2 days. So I would basically need to double my supply of cloth diapers, and I would be washing them constantly and hanging them all up, which would take a lot longer than the usual laundry because there's so many little pieces. But I am holding on to them just in case of a crap hits the fan situation. I will be prepared with diapers. Quick caveat, there are so many different off-grid setups, and ours is, I would consider, quite luxurious compared to a lot of others. So if you want to see exactly how our off-grid setup is put together, I'll leave a link to our off-grid home tour here. Thank you so much for watching this video. I make a new video every week about our off-grid life, so I'd love if you'd subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.